a beautiful afternoon to talk the Niger Delta region. Many thanks for joining us in this very beautiful edition of the program. Of course, you know what we do on the program. We bring you up to speed with activities within the Niger Delta region, especially as it concerns the persons here. First off, of course, would be back here in Akwa Ibom State, where Governor Umoino has again promised to pay 13th month salary for the people of the state. When he started this last year, a lot of people were of the opinion as regards how sustainable this is going to be. Others told the line of, to what extent is this going to trickle down to other persons who are not civil servants in the state? For instance, the bus drivers, the hairdressers of the streets, and petty traders. To what extent are they going to benefit from this 13th month salary? Well, this would be forming part of our discussion today, and then we'll turn our sights on NAPTIP and its gains against child trafficking. Remember that some time ago we had featured a child who was said to have been trafficked from his parents, but we have good news today, and the PRO of NAPTIP would be right here in the studio with us to bring us up to speed with the details of what transpired and what later became of Divine. A lot of talking points today on the program, so do stay tuned as we will bring you all the details. My name is Xavier Robert, and right here in the studio with me is my co-host, Awero Swagane Ebo.
Thank you.
Avis, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Happy New Week to you.
Same here.
You look prepared for the week.
And you look terrific yourself.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep up, as always. You're welcome to Niger Delta today, and as he has said, we have a lot to discuss today to bring you up to speed with happenings around the Niger Delta region. Do stay with us.
So next up on the program would be Niger Delta updates. First, Niger Delta update today. The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, on Sunday congratulated the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on his recent election victory. Jonathan, in a message on X, described Trump's election as the 47th president of the United States as a mark of true leadership and a reflection of the American people's confidence in his vision for the nation. Well, he is optimistic that Trump's presidency would not only propel the American dream forward, but also contribute to global peace, stability, and progress.
And in Akwa Ibom State, the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Pastor Moena, has announced that the 13th month salary will be paid next month to bring a more joyful Yuletide to civil servants in the state. The governor disclosed this in a statement released by his chief press secretary, Mr. Ikerete Udo, where he also announced that the payment of the 80,000 naira minimum wage to all public servants will commence shortly after completion of the ongoing proper verification exercise. This is to ensure transparency in the discharge of their services. In addition, Pastor Moina urged labor unions in the state to refrain from considering a strike action, emphasizing on the smooth and seamless relationship that has existed between the state government and the organized labor. He reassured workers that his administration is committed to addressing their welfare and other needs.
Well, talking stolen crude oil now, operatives of the Nigerian Navy's Operation Delta Sanity have intercepted and impounded 3 wooden boats laden with large amounts of stolen crude oil. This was disclosed in a statement on its verified Facebook page at Sunday. The alleged 3 wooden boats were laden with large amounts of stolen crude oil and illegally refined AGO in Ibomotoro, southern Ijoloku government area, Bayelsa State.
And to Rivers State, the Rivers State Governor, Siminala Yufubara, has said that the political crisis in the state is divinely orchestrated to allow God to perfect his purpose in granting the state political freedom and economic growth. Governor Fubara stated this at the Thanksgiving service to celebrate the appointment of His Royal Majesty Eze Chike Woluwodo as the chairman of Rivers State Traditional Rulers Council. The governor emphasized that it is because God is wholly involved that people thought would have overwhelmed him and his team has rather been a disappointment. The governor also said that he is more energized and steering the affairs of the state accordingly.
Say that there is nothing as important like thanking God. Even when the situation looks unclear, thanksgiving brings assurance and a clearer picture of situation. I also believe that what people are calling trouble is God's purpose for a new direction in our state. He has taken us right from the first day. Rather than get weak, we're getting stronger and bolder every day. And the secret is just one thing.
That's it on Niger Delta Voices. The allocation and budgetary bottlenecks would be up next when it comes to the Rivers State crisis and, of course, the budgetary issues and the allocation that the local governments are supposed to be enjoying. With the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC President Joe Ajaero has urged the judiciary to exercise caution in issuing rulings that could increase the hardships in the country. Now, his comments came in response to the suspension of allocations to the Rivers State government as he unveiled 10 new CNG-powered buses at the NLC Secretariat in Port Harcourt. Ajaero advised the judiciary against embarking on a journey of self-destruction, expressing concern that the decision could worsen the financial situation for thousands of workers in Rivers State. He said, while the NLC is refraining from taking a strong stance because the cases are ongoing in court, the Nigerian Bar Association, National Judicial Council and other relevant bodies should look into the matter in light of established precedents. Ajaero praised the recent approval of 85,000 naira minimum wage for the state workers. He, however, urged the state government to address unresolved issues such as unpaid hazard allowances for health workers from 2021 and a 9-year delay in teacher payments from state demonstration schools.
Cannot sit and watch workers of Rivers State suffer. Why we are not going to go into jurisprudence or the position of the judiciary? The NLC is also advising the judiciary not to go into a journey of self-destruct. Everybody seems to be saying that judiciary is the last hope of the common man. We want to plead with the NBA and others to look into what is happening. And the Judicial Council. Some people that are even live benchers and whatever are seeing what is happening. And they are keeping quiet. If you provide CNG and it is as expensive as PMS, it is useless. I think it's very, very important. We discuss here that while we are discussing the issue of provision of CNG buses, we have to take into cognizance that there must be infrastructure where we can refuel the vehicles. And the CNG must be cheap, because it's not by tomorrow the price of CNG will still jump like the price of PMS. Then all this struggle would have been in vain. We have gas deposits in Nigeria that can last for the next 500 years. So I don't see the basis for increasing the prices of CNG.
Well, on our Niger Delta Voices segment, there were reactions as regards this allocation issue and, of course, what the people expect the Rivers government to do and to what extent this is going to affect the people in Rivers State. Let's let you have a look at that.
court had given their ruling that the autonomy should be given to the local government, to me, I don't see that as a bad thing. In light with what is going on in Rivers State, I think everybody is actually overriding their power. For instance, the minister going ultra virus, like extending his powers beyond the powers given to as provided in the constitution, and also in the state. So what I mean here is that that the right of the state should be given. The constitution made provisions for the activities, in fact, the powers of the governor of the state. So I don't see any reason why the right of the state should be denied, no matter what. So my take is that whatever should be done in accordance with the provision of the law, and not just any outlaw, but the constitution of the Federal State of Nigeria, which remains the crown law and the mother of all laws in Nigeria.
All of the issues coming out from Rivers State. Well, the next issue that is, of course, very concerning to the people of Rivers State, and indeed the issue of governance, is the governor, Fubara, setting out to present the 2025 budget to the Oko Jumbo-led assembly. Well, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has announced that he would present the state's 2025 budget to the Victor Oko Jumbo-led State House of Assembly. Well, the governor noted that the state government would continue to collaborate with the assembly to improve the lives of Rivers residents, highlighting the positive relationship between the executive and legislative branches as demonstrated in the screening of nominees and the prompt passage of executive bills. So Fubara made this statement at the official commissioning of 2 ultra-modern community town halls and the launch of the tertiary scholarship and empowerment program by the speaker at Akiama and Aganya communities in Boni local government area on Saturday. This was contained in a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Sunday by the governor's chief press secretary, Nelson Jokudi. A lot of issues within Rivers State, talking about the allocation to the local governments, the Supreme Court verdict, which of course gave this a directive that the local governments must be on their own. That is the issue of autonomy. Well, joining us to expand this conversation is social commentator and public affairs analyst in the person of Mr. Paulinus Peter. Mr. Paulinus, you're welcome on Niger Delta today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Good afternoon.
It's good to be here once again.
Well, a lot of back and forth when it comes to Rivers. I mean, it would have been hoped that since the announcement of to the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, that is, that he should represent the 2024 budget appropriately, since it is believed that legally or by walking by the books, it wasn't done the appropriate way. But here we are, the governor is saying that he's still going to go ahead to present the 2025 budget to the Oko Jumbo-led assembly, which comprises just about 3 people. To what extent is this going to cause another uproar, a different version that is, in Rivers State?
Well, the issue in Rivers State is something that all well-meaning Nigerians should be very careful about. And that's because the implications is not just limited to Rivers State, but to the larger Nigerian public and society. The issue with the governor is this mentality of feeling that being a governor, that he has the jurisdiction to interpret what the law says and what have you. But you and I know that in Nigeria we are practicing constitutional democracy, where powers of government, are carefully and categorically, grouped into 3, where you have the executive, you have the legislature, and of course the judiciary. And it is very explicit and express that it is only the judicial arm of government that has the powers or limitations or what have you to interpret, whatever issues we might have arising from governance, legal aspect, and the constitutions. So in a situation where the law, the judiciary has come up to say, look, as far as the matters before the court is concerned, that it is this other side of the assembly that is what the law recognizes. So it is expected that as the chief executive of the state, as somebody that has sworn to uphold the constitution of the country, that irrespective of how the law goes, the governor ought to have, first and foremost, complied with the judgment of the court, while, see how he can, in his own way, vacate the verdict of the appellate court. We are talking about the Court of Appeal in this instance. So we have a situation whereby the governor, irrespective of the pronouncements that have come from the lower court and down to the appellate court, the governor is not complying with it, but rather choose his own way of deciding who should be the members of the assembly. I don't think it's something that well-meaning Nigerians should condone, irrespective of political affiliation, irrespective of the sides and the factions that one might belong to. We should, for God's sake, do and carry out some actions that will actually enhance the rule of law. That is how our politics could develop. That is how the society could have peace. So a situation where there's a whole lot of sentiments and emotions whipping into the polity does not occur well. And of course, as I said earlier, that is going to have a far-reaching effect, not just in Rivers State, because it's setting a very dangerous precedent in our polity and of course in our jurisprudence. So it's something that is catastrophic, it's something that the Supreme Court should expedite actions so that there can actually be a way forward and an end to these River State issues.
Okay, so is it that you don't see Governor Fubara managing the situation well, because he's not the first to actually depend on state court rulings when it comes to governance in River State, and the FCT minister did that. So is it not possible that he can manage the situation properly to make sure that everything stays within the state?
Well, it's not about managing, it's about what the law says. And the fact that one must have done it before and got away with does not make it right. I don't know if you understand my point. What is wrong is wrong. And as I said earlier, that we should be mindful of our actions and inactions while in government or in any public office and that. So if the governor actually wants to manage it, it should be in line with the letters and the spirit of the constitutions and not what the governor feels in his own thinking that it should be. If we allow that to thrive in our polity and in our society, of course, we should all know that at the end of the day, it will lead to a situation where people will resort to self-help. And of course, the attendant effect of that at the end of the day, it is chaos and anarchy that will prevail in the polity. And by that time, I feel it will be too late. So that's why all the players should actually see to the fact that they respect the letters and the spirit of the Constitution. And if we are to be relieved from what has just happened in the USA, where the former president of the country and said, look, it's not all the time we should have it in our own way, but what is paramount, what is important is respecting the letters of the Constitution. So the governor of Rivers State and any other governor in Nigeria, not to manage the issues of the state on whims and caprices or the emotions and sentiments of the governor, but they should be guided by the rule of law, by the letters of the Constitution. For God's sake, we are practicing constitutional democracy. It goes beyond our opinion. It goes beyond what favors us. Okay. It's what the law says.
Okay, now the NLC has come out to say, first of all, appreciating the state government for the 85,000 Naira minimum wage, which is about to be enacted. Do you think with the stoppage of the state's allocation by the CBN from the court, do you think he will be able to pull through with all of this? And do you think the internally generated revenue of the state will be able to shoulder this financial burden?
Well, the issue of NLC is a story for another day, because as far as I'm concerned, NLC has been part of the larger problem we have in this country.
But they're just speaking for their comrades in the state.
That's what I'm saying. that we have a situation where our labor leaders, behave and speak more as political leaders. And we have the political leaders speaking as religious leaders, while the religious leaders are now speaking as politicians and, political leaders. And that creates a whole of misnomer. And that's the problem with Nigeria. As is a country where misnomer and abnormality seems to characterize the way we do things. Well, and it's quite unfortunate. So what I expected the NLC to do is, for the fact that the matter is within the court of competent jurisdiction, is for them to have, held their peace and see what will be the outcome of the Supreme Court.
Okay, but now the governor has said he will still go ahead to present the 2025 budget to the Okojombo-led assembly. Do you think, with the stoppage of their allocations, he will be able to pull through with managing the state with the internally generated revenue?
As I said earlier, if you look at the judgment coming from the appeal court, the judgment also affects, because the internally generated revenue passes through banks, it passes through financial institutions. So the judgment is not just saying, look, it's not all about federal allocation or allocation to local government, but whatever money that accrues to the state government, whether internally generated or federal allocation, that the government of Rivers State should stay clear, pending the determination of the matter that is at the Supreme Court. So for the governor to go ahead and say he's going to do this and that, for me, I feel that is another form of illegality, in quotes. Because what will happen if at the end of the day, the judgment of the Supreme Court, goes to the contrary? How is the governor going to undo all this? So I have expected the governor to have waited as a leader in this, category, to have waited and rather pursue the matter to a logical conclusion at the Supreme Court before he will take actions that will further, affect the policy.
Let me quickly come in there, okay. Mr. Polynis. Now let's look at this from the angle of how it affects the generality of Rivers citizens. You're asking them to wait, and you know how our judiciary works. You know what time it takes for dispensation of justice or conclusion of cases. To what extent are they going to wait? And how are they going to be able to take care of their welfare and other issues? The NLC is talking about urging the judiciary to exercise caution in issuing rulings that could increase the hardships of common citizens in Rivers State. Address the issue of how this affects the Rivers people.
There is no dispute about that it has, grave dangers and impacts, albeit negative, on the Rivers people. But the point is this: should the labor in Rivers State ought to have waited to this point before they will cry foul? I am of the view that, having studied the scenario and understood, the impacts of the pronouncements of this court on the issues and welfare of workers that are at the point of initiating this case, that the labor ought to have joined as a body that will, at the end of the day, affected by what is the outcome of the judicial pronouncement, and not just waiting once the outcome has now come, you are now trying to see how you undo it. And that has been the problem, with our country. We seems to be after outcome, forgetting that, life is procedural, that there are processes that leads to certain outcomes. I don't know if you understand my point. So we should, as a country, sit down and give, put a stop to this issue of trying to address symptoms of problems rather than going after the root causes of problems. We should put a stop to us, going after, having this mentality of fire brigade, approach to settling matters and the rest of it. We should not wait for certain things to happen before we begin to see how we react. So people should be proactive. Leaders as different strata should be proactive. Leaders should be intelligent. Leaders should kind of sit in and analyze and try to bring foresight into governance, whether at the part of the Nigerian Labour Congress or the part of the civil servant, for them to know that certain actions of government are bound to affect the people. And this is where I will blame the citizens.
Okay.
Because people of this country, we always feel that whatever people in government do, that is their business, it does not concern us and all that. But we forget to know the fact that at the end of the day, whatever decisions the people in government take is bound to affect us, whether positively or negatively. And that is why we should be part of the process.
Well, Another issue that really captures our attention is the events in Edo State. The government has chided the governor-elect, Monday Okpebo, and his aides to focus on organizing their alleged 5 billion inauguration ceremony and leave the outgoing governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, out of their, again, alleged petty politics. So in a statement, Special Advisor to the Governor on Media Projects, Crusoe Sage, said it was regrettable that the new government was starting on the sorry note of lavishing, in quote, the state's resources on the November 12 inauguration instead of thinking of how to hit the ground running. I also recall that the outgoing Edo State Governor, Governor Obaseki, was alleged to have fled the state, but reports emerging show that the governor, contrary to claims of his fleeing Nigeria, in fact did not flee. Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State had dissolved his cabinet, you'd recall, ahead of the 12th November swearing-in of Monday Okpebo of the All Progressives Congress as the new governor of the state. Mr. Obaseki, who came into office on 12th November 2016, is expected to end his 8-year tenure tomorrow, November 12th. He dissolved the cabinet shortly after a valedictory session held at the Government House on Friday in Benin, and the motion for this dissolution of the State Executive Council for 2020-2024 was moved by Godwin Mobayo, the man whose appointment by Mr. Obaseki as Deputy Governor was nullified by the court. The Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Osilama Okwofu, seconded the motion. Now, the valedictory session, the governor, as expected, commended members of the council for helping him drive the government's vision of making Edo great again. Mr. Polinus, we know that the trajectories in Edo State points to one thing. We are set to have a new governor in the person of Monday Okpebo, and he's supposed to be inaugurated tomorrow. Now, allegations back and forth. First, the Monday Okpebo camp were of the opinion that the outgoing governor fled the state. Who knows what reasons they are pegging to that effect. And then the camp of the outgoing governor is out to say that instead of looking for cheap publicity or trying to talk down the outgoing governor, the incoming administration should focus on the alleged 5 billion inauguration party. What do you make of all of these events in Edo State, building up to the inauguration of the new administration of Monday Okpebo?
Okay, well, for me, the issue of the governor of Obaseki fleeing the state, is still at the realm of allegations that has not been substantiated. So I wouldn't want us to dwell much more on that. And since it has not been substantiated, since there are still, fireworks from different camps and this. But what really caught my attention is the issue of the people, of the People Democratic Party saying that the incoming government should mind, their business and what have you. For God's sake, government is a continuum. The way the governor ends would definitely affect the way the incoming government starts. And government is about institutions. Government is about processes. It's not about individual. So it is not something we should say that this has been an Obaseki thing, that he should do it the way he likes. And that has been my major concern, because that seems to be the culture in our political culture. That seems to be the way we act, across the different states of the federation, that whatever the chief executive is doing is his business, is his tenure, he should continue to do with it. For God's sake, there should be, that concept of accountability, where we call our leaders to account for their actions, because they are there, holding the resources of the state in trust for the people, and they should be accountable on how they utilize, the resources of the state. People should be encouraged to ask questions, and where questions are being asked, answers should be given rather than resorting to blame game. Blame game is what has put Nigeria in this quagmire that we have found ourselves. So it is right to ask questions. Well, the way the government ends matters, because it will affect the way the incoming government is going to start up. It's a double-way thing.
Talking about cordiality in transition from one administration to the other, are you aware that the incoming administration of Monday Okpebo did not extend an invitation to the outgoing Edo State governor to the inauguration that is supposed to hold tomorrow. What would be your take on that?
Well,
there seems to be a rift somewhere.
For me, I am one person that feels that energy should be concentrated on dealing with the fundamentals and not on peripherals. And this is a man that has, superintended over the state for 8 good years. So what has you not been invited for an action of a day has to do with you. For God's sake, if you have actually done the things that put you in the hearts of the people, you shouldn't beg for an invitation. So for the governor to even cry out that he has not been, for me, it's an indictment that he has not meant well for the Edo people and the rest of it. And you talk about cordiality. I have this to say, that the fact that there should be cordiality between the incoming government and the outgoing does not mean there shouldn't be accountability. Because this is one aspect that has been grossly lacking in our polity. We don't seem to ask questions, and it's not good for our polity. And our leaders, are fasting on this. Our leaders are capitalizing on this, taking the people unwillingness or ignorance to ask questions for granted and do whatever they want to do. So questions should be asked. It has nothing to do with cordiality. It has nothing to do with opposition. It has nothing to do with party politics. It has a whole lot to do with how do you spend the resources that was meant for the development of Edo State and for the betterment of Edo people.
Okay, now talking about accountability and a one-day event, as you put it. The inaugural ceremony is expected to allegedly gulp a whooping sum of 5 billion naira. What do you say about that?
Well, for me, I like hearing from the both sides of the divides. I've listened to the camp of the outgoing governor, and I've equally listened to the transition committee put on by the incoming governor. They are of the view that they have not presented a formal budget to that effect, that the incoming governor is funding it from his personal purse. And if that is the truth, for God's sake, the amount in question should not be a problem. So far, it has nothing to do with public funds. Okay. That's my take. That's my perspective.
And if he goes ahead to fund a one-day ceremony with 5 billion naira, you think the people will not be suspicious of the fact that he will want to get that off the coffers of public funds?
Well, for me, I still maintain the fact that if he has nothing to do with public funds, then...
No, during the recovery, he might want to recover that money.
It's too early for us.
During campaigns.
It's too early for us, to bring that. One thing we should also do is giving our leaders that benefit of doubt, because a polity that is characterized by suspicion.
But you just said we're not asking questions.
Of course, we need to ask questions. But
now they are asking questions.
There should be a limitation to asking questions. There should be, an objective to whatever we say or we do. I don't know if you understand my point. If I am saying that I have so amount of money to spend for my functions, you have the right to ask questions. But if at the end of the day, you discover truly that it is my money, I don't think you'll be fair to me to tell me how I should spend my money and how I should.
They're not telling him how to spend
This is what
money.
we are saying.
There is a fear of him recovering it from public office.
Of course, that fear is going by the way our political leaders have been, acting and the rest of it. But then, while we are to ask our leaders questions, we should also have a way of trying to see how we trust,
All right,
our leaders.
Mr. Paulinus, let's quickly go on to another issue, a very pertinent issue of importance here in Akwa Ibom State. We'll do that very briefly so we can move on to the other item that we have on our paper today. Akwa Ibom State Governor, Pastor Moino, has said that he'll be paying 13th month salary. This is not the first time he's doing it. He did it last year. And a lot of commendations are already trailing this particular move by the governor. First, I would ask you how you feel about it, and then I'll give you the next lap of the question.
Well, it's fantastic, it's commendable, but then, we should ask or try to find out the motives of doing that. Because we all know that in Nigeria today, it is only the organized labor.
The governor put out his motive clearly. He said it was to just make Akwa Ibom people happy.
What the government said is not limited to Akwa Ibom State government. Should be in tandem with what is on ground. What I want to say is this, that let it not be the 13-month salary is not to buy, the organized labor. and what have you. And of course, while also commending the governor, let us not, present it in the way as if it is something that has never happened before in this state, or as if it is something that is so extraordinary. For God's sake, motivation by way of incentive has always been part and parcel of government and what have you. So while the governor has come up, to give the 13-month salary to the organized labor, the civil servants, for me, I would also want the governor to put much more energy on his Arise agenda, because that is what that will better the greater number of the indigenous and citizens of Akwa Ibom State. And if you ask me, much has not been done in that direction. The parameters of performance that the government and the governor has set for himself, is almost 2 years. I have not seen the government, doing so much in that aspect of their Arise agenda. So while it is good to motivate the workforce of the state, it is also better, to look at other indices of governance and trying to see how the government can actually rise to the occasion and do very much more for Akwa Ibom people. Because if you ask me, for me, it seems as a state we are moving rather sluggishly when it has to do with
slow progress is better than none. Well,
you say slow progress is better than none. But we want to have a state that was once vibrant, because if you look at the Arise agenda of the governor, it talks about agricultural revolution, and if you want to look at
and there's Fridays for farming.
It's not enough, and that is misguided. If you ask me, we might not have the time. If you talk about agricultural revolution, you are rather talking about rapid positive changes that should be seen. That has not been happening. And you talk about the infrastructural maintenance and advancement. For me, the government has not been doing well, because we once have a state that 30 and above kilometers of road were constructed and delivered. And this is the government, when it started by flagging off 1.1 kilometer of roads, and people were applauding the government and said the government is doing well. I am saying that is not an advancement.
Okay.
If you have an administration that has been constructing over 30 kilometers of road, and you are telling us that you are coming to advance that, we should expect 40 and more kilometers of road and more roads and what have you. And not a government that will come and award construction for 1.1 kilometers
internal
of
roads, first of all. Internal roads.
That has not been an advancement if we want
to
a lot of... And the problem we have been having, and especially in Akwa Ibom State, is we don't speak up.
Mr. Peter Paulinus, a lot of civil servants are happy with the governor in terms of his approval of the 80,000 naira.
They are very happy because in the city of the blind, one-eyed person is a leader. They are very happy because in the past 8 years of the last administration, the workers, they saw hell where their rights and entitlement were not given, were taken for granted. So coming to see somebody...
So now you will say the governor is doing well.
Coming to see somebody that is trying to discharge the constitutional obligations, the people are happy for it. But I am saying that there is nothing extraordinary about that.
The governor has been paying...
The problem with our government in Nigeria is this. Our
owed.
leaders are not actually doing the ordinary thing that they are elected to do, that they are in the office to do, not to talk of the extraordinary.
Mr.
And
Paulinus,
the people seem to sing praise government.
A minute
The
ago,
people seem to sing praise government, and that is not good for our politics.
Okay, but a minute ago,
and the rest of it. The governor has done well by giving that motivation to the workers, to the organized labor. But I am saying, Mr. Governor, you have done well, but it's not enough.
Okay, but a minute ago, you said the 13th month salary sounds like he's trying to buy organized labor. Is there something locking on it that we are not aware of?
We should question the motive, because the governor has come up to say...
But you just said incentives for motivation.
The governor has come to say that he's going to pay 80,000. But instead of that, he has set up a committee that will review that for 90 days, 3 months, which means the
to make sure it is sustainable. Just to make sure it is sustainable.
Let's quickly take this reaction that we have on the screen right now.
Okay, this is coming from Ete Akwa Ibom. He says, I will always say it is a governor like Pastor Moino who takes the welfare of her civil servants seriously, that do not get affected by agitations from labor unions and the sorts. This is a really commendable move from the governor, and I say thus because it isn't the first Christmas we have received 13th month salary. Thank you, Mr. Governor. And there is another from Sejong Jim. He says, indeed, this is a true son of former Governor Godswill Akpabio. Without hectic screenings, he pays retired primary school teachers. Again, Akwa Ibomites today have remembered Akpabio Mba. Greater altitude awaits you in your political career. God bless your administration, the humanists.
Well, those
prayers
are some of the
and
reactions from
prayers.
Nigerians,
And
the
gratitude.
Quibamites, indeed, who feel that the governor's move is indeed intended to take care of the people of Akwa Ibom. And yes, you've mentioned that the governor has done well, even though you have your own reservations, and we're hoping that government is a continuum, like you have agreed. So we are believing and hoping that the government of Akwa Ibom State, led by Pastor Moino, will continue to do all it takes to ensure that it reaches the soul and hearts of the people of Akwa Ibom in terms of their welfare. Thank you very much, Mr. Paulinus Peter, for making our time to feature on Niger Delta today. Really, really robust time we had on the show this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, when we return from this very short break, we'll turn our sights on NAPTIP and its efforts at rescuing a particular child that we featured some time ago on the program. Just stay tuned.
In a world of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues, it is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program that touches the core of our existence.
Step into the heartbeat of the world where news meets real talk. From breakthroughs in diplomacy to humanitarian challenges and scientific milestones, Global Digest takes you beyond the headlines and straight to the heart of the matter. I am Amma Marcus. Be a part of the world unfolding stories at 3 p.m. on ADBN, channel 258 on DSTV, and Star Times, channel 140. Global Digest, your window to the world's current affairs, only on Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Now here's some exciting news. ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms on Avo TV app, ADBN channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Limix World TV app, ADBN TV. Get the latest news straight to your phone. Join our WhatsApp channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across our social media handles. On X at ADBN_TV, Instagram at ADBN_TV, Facebook ADBN TV, YouTube ADBN TV_NG, and keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Niger Delta today. Well, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has rescued an 8-year-old boy, Divine Bang, and that is no longer news. We had brought you that information a while back. Well, the Uyo Zonal Commander for NAPTIP, Mr. Emmanuel Awen, had also granted an interview in Uyo where he confirmed that the boy had been reunited with his parents. When explained that Divine was abducted on 1st September 2023 by an individual who has yet to be apprehended. Well, he was playing with his elder brother at their compound in Port Harcourt. He said the boy was rescued by NAPTIP's Abuja office, which brought him to the Uyo Zonal Command to trace his biological parents. From the parents' account, Divine and his elder brother were playing in the compound when the visitor entered on that fateful day. The visitor gave the brother 200 naira to buy biscuits, and while the brother was away, the visitor took Divine. That's according to the reports we have. Well, Divine's mother, Mrs. Comfort Ibang, a petty trader from Isianodem local government area in Akwa Ibom, told media personnel that Divine was abducted while she was away on her trade. Well, joining us on the program is the Akwa Ibom Head Public Enlightenment Unit, PRO, NAPTIP, Eme Inyobong Opabio. Mr. May, you're welcome on the program.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you again.
Good to be here once
and
again.
It's really good to know that it's on a good note that we've been able to reunite Divine with the family. But just bring us up to speed, because the last time you were here, we were still trying to find out or arrive at how to trace the family members of Divine. How did you eventually get that done?
Okay, the command engages the services of bloggers, and then our officers are also on the social media. The stories were published, just like we came here, we were on the radio, Passion FM, and then we had a lot of Facebook stories on that particular boy. So at first, one of my officers was called, and a particular person was making so much noise about Divine not being missing and all that. But glory to God, the Divine's mother, Comfort Otobong Monday, said it was her neighbor, because when she appeared, we noticed that she was actually a very I don't know how to put it, one of the lowest of the poor society, so to say. So her phone is always that I can access Facebook, media, social media. So her neighbor or a friend, so to say, brought a phone home and said, this boy, this picture looks like your son that was missing, Divine. So when they looked at it, she realized it was the boy. And then the story, where we gave stories, description on how to get to NAPTIP, using our command, where the child was actually kept safe for the period while we waited for the parents to come up. So we not just, when they came up, we didn't just accept them as Divine's parents. The boy was put through a kind of interview away from the parents. Do you have siblings? What are their names? And he listed the names of his siblings. So, and then the parents also were also put through a kind of interview away from the boy. Do you have children? How many do you have, and what are their names? Okay, and then looking at the faces of both parents, you know actually that is their son. So as soon as Divine saw his parents, he jumped at them. Daddy, mommy, you can see, you could also see the parents, the excitement, the relief, the kind of coming alive of the parents seeing their missing child. Actually, Divine got missing as the story was told on the papers, and from the stories from the parents, he was playing outside his house with his elder brother, his immediate elder brother, and then a young man came in, spoke with a neighbor in the knocked on a neighbor's door in the compound, and then spoke with a lady, and after that gave Divine's elder brother Godwin 200 naira to go buy something.
Meaning he's no stranger, complete stranger.
He is a stranger to the children, but a known person to a neighbor. So Divine's parents' neighbor, where the compound where they lived in River State, Eleme. Okay, so he said the man took Divine away, and while he came back, he saw them from a distance, and his chase to get at his brother was not fruitful. And he said he made a noise as a child. He was barely 9, because he's 10 today and Divine is 8. So he was barely 9. Yeah, now you know what it means for a 9-year-old to go after a criminal, chasing a criminal. It was futile.
That could be disastrous too.
So he got home, and then the little boy told us that a lady when the man took him somewhere, a lady, a known face, somewhere came and gave him food and got him hypnotized. He didn't know, after eating the food, he said he didn't know anything. He wasn't conscious anymore.
He went blank.
He didn't know anything. He went blank. It was as if the food was to erase his memory of anything that would make him remember his actual parents or where he was coming from. That's Divine's story, our testimonies at the point of reuniting. So,
well, I have a question as regards to the persons that were these stranger allegedly spoke to at the compound. What are efforts being made to ensure that the connection between these two are unraveled?
Okay, the connection between the stranger and the neighbor. Unraveled. Okay. Divine's mother said she ran to the area command in River State and reported a case of child theft from her family, her household, and so from the story,
God's will, Godwin, Divine's elder brother, told, the woman was actually apprehended. She was arrested, taken to the police station. Questions were asked and all that, and before long, she claimed innocence. So, but since the investigation are still ongoing, at the point of receipts, the woman that had bought the child in Abuja has some questions to answer.
Okay.
And then Auntie Mercy also, her mother's neighbor, also has some questions to answer.
Oh, Auntie Mercy is the mother's neighbor?
The mother's neighbor, whom the man actually went to contact before taking the boy away.
We remember Divine mentioning that name.
Yes, Auntie Mercy is a neighbor. So Auntie Mercy's elder sister, according to the Divine, brought food to him where he was taken to, that the first day he was stolen from his parents.
Wow.
So that's how we knew. So the story, the case is still ongoing. The investigations are still ongoing, because we have to, like I said the other day, that human trafficking, I always told people that human trafficking is a syndicate. It's a chain thing. It's not a one-man standalone business. It has players, multiple players in between in the line before it gets to the final destination where you can actually say trafficking took place. So we are going to go through a due process to ensure that all the members in the trafficking chain are going to be apprehended, are going to be arrested, interviewed, as the case may be, because we don't interrogate, we interview them. Okay, and then the case will now be taken to courts.
Okay, well, you said when Divine was returned to Akwa Ibom State, to your command, he was with you for a period of how many days before the mother came around?
Divine stayed about 2 weeks with us.
Okay, in that period of 2 weeks, was there any psychological or social support before reuniting him with his family? Okay, yes. Divine is actually a minor, and we didn't want to send him to school immediately. He was brought to us because of the nature of the case. And listen to me, it's still part of the psychological support. Okay. Okay, we have guidance and counselors in our command. NAPTIP as an agency, we have a full-fledged counseling unit, and we have the legal unit. We have all the units that handle different stages of the case and the matters. So the counselors actually spoke with Divine. First and foremost, we had to disabuse his mind to let him know that he was just a victim of a circumstance, that he is not a criminal. So he should not just condemn himself, because most times the victims that are rescued and brought to us feel guilty. They feel they are unwanted. They feel their parents did not actually like them. The parents are not very careless. They went out to look for a source of livelihood, and then playing on your veranda, and then somebody comes to pick you up. So we tried to talk to Divine, and then while we spoke with him, he told us what he faced with his trafficker, or the one that procured him from the trafficker. He told us all the ordeals he went to. How did he even get to know that Divine was actually stolen and was sold in Abuja? A teacher in the school where he attended noticed he had injuries, scars at the back and a scar on the head, on the scalp here. And so when the teacher asked, what happened to you? He said, the woman, my mother I'm living with is not my real mother. She's the one that maltreats me and beats me. So for that kind of a child that has been abused roundly, that has been maltreated, maybe starved and all that, you need to, bring him close to you. We embrace our victims. We make them feel at home with us. He called me mommy till he left. Mommy, are you going? Mommy, good. But that's how he does it. So we first of all will put him through counseling sessions, letting him know that he's a child, that the world is still not, the world has not gone to an end with him, that he still has opportunities to meet his parents, and that the society loves him so much, the government loves him, and we all love him. So that kind of care, that kind of, and then we kept him safe. We made sure we ate more than 3 times a day. Feeding and other basic things. And then when he was brought to us, we provide clothing for him. When he left the agency the day he was to leave with a big bag of different beautiful things. Wow, terrific. So all that, those are the kind of support we give him mentally. Say you're a strong boy, and he's a very smart boy. All right. Well, Eme Upabio, Head Public Enlightenment Unit, PRO NAPTIP, thank you very much for making our time to come on Niger Delta today. Really hope that the work you're doing at NAPTIP Tonuyo would continue to help save lives and keep people aware of their environment. Thank you very much for featuring in the program. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
That's about the size of Niger Delta today. Thank you very much for watching us and keeping tabs with the program. My name is Xavier Robert. You can follow our activities on adbntv.com. Alice, it's time to go.
It's been a wonderful day. Thank you so much for staying with us through the program. Do enjoy the rest of our programming.